The Final Four. Illinois State squeaked past favorite Alabama Friday night with 8 seconds remaining. Lou Stefanovic connected on a 20-footer that put his team up by 1 and into a second-round game against DePaul. Junior forward Tyrone Corbin leads the Demons in scoring and rebounding. He'll need to play well to move his team past Illinois State and on to the next round as we head for Seattle on CBS on your championship network.
Today's second-round tournament game is sponsored by AMC, Jeep, Renault, and their dealers, the ones to watch. Light beer from Miller, everything you've always wanted in a beer, and less. And by Lee.
3 previous occasions in NCAA tournament play, they lost that opening game. And they faced a team, Illinois State, that played them very tough in the early season. In fact, they won that by only 3 points. With me is Billy Packer. And Billy, it's tough when you can't win that opening round game. That puts a lot of pressure on Ray Meyer.
Well, it does, Gary, and it's going to be interesting to see how his team reacts emotionally. This is not football, it's basketball. And you can get over your peak. It's not going out and crashing people. You have to have an even temper and an even feel for the game. I'll be very anxious in the first few minutes to see if his team comes out real tight or if they're loose enough to play well with enthusiasm.
Illinois State is coached by Bob Donewald. He's a Bobby Knight protege. That means we'll have a physical game.
And the games so far that we've seen have been rather loosely officiated, which helps you if you play good, tough man-to-man defense and box out well, as is the case with a club like Dayton.
All right, let's have the introduction of the starting lineups. Your public address announcer, Jim Miller.
Thank you, Gary. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Bob Devaney Sports Center. For today's Midwest Region Round 2 game between the Redbirds of Illinois State University and the Blue Demons of DePaul University. Now let's meet the starting lineups. For Illinois State at forward, a 6'7" senior from Columbus, Ohio, number 52, Hank Cornley. For DePaul at forward, a 6'6" junior from Columbia, South Carolina, number 23, Tyrone Corbin. For Illinois State at forward, a 6'8" junior from Maryville, Indiana, number 43, Lou Stefanovic. For DePaul at forward, a 6'8" sophomore from Los Angeles, California, number 34, Kevin Holmes. For Illinois State at center, a 6'8" senior from Monona, Wisconsin, number 45, Mark Zwart. For DePaul at center, a 6'8" sophomore from Flint, Michigan, number 51, Marty Embry. For Illinois State at guard, a 6'1" junior from Gary, Indiana, number 10, Michael McKinney. For DePaul at guard, a 6'4" senior from Newark, New Jersey, number 14, Jerry McMillan. For Illinois State at guard, a 6'5" junior from Indianapolis, Indiana, number 24, Ricky Johnson. For DePaul at guard, a 6'2" junior from Queens, New York, number 10, Kenny Patterson. Introducing the head coaches for Illinois State in his 6th season, Bob Donewald. For DePaul in his 42nd and final season, Coach Ray Meyer.
This is the family with him, but also we have the officials here from the ACC, Lenny Wirtz, Don Shea of the Southeastern Conference, G. Mode, and there is Marge, and you can see she is very pensive as Ray Meyer's team would like to win this opening game, a move on to St. Louis, and they would play the winner then of the Kansas-Wake Forest game in the arena from St. Louis. Jumping center will be Mark Zwart. He's a 6'8" senior, and he'll go against Kevin Holmes. And giving chase to it and trying to save it, but not able to do so, is Ricky Johnson, number 24, the junior guard.
There, that was a good play by Johnson, realizing that DePaul had the advantage on the leaping ability. He broke as soon as the ball was thrown up and tried to make the interception. Smart play.
DePaul's Kenny Patterson, who's been in a shooting slump in the last 7 games. The junior will bring it up. Off to Marty Embry.
You see that Illinois State way back inside defensively, inside the paint, going to give up the outside shot, which has been DePaul's weakness.
Here's Patterson, so creative with the basketball, but Johnson staying with him. Illinois State, you can expect them to play a lot like a Bobby Knight team would. That tough defense. They're very physical. Jerry McMillan.
McMillan faded away on that shot.
Almost saved, but not able to do so was Marty Embry, and Illinois State will have the basketball.
And here's the difference between the DePaul clubs that lost those 3 opening round games and this team, Gary. Not to say that they will win or lose this game, but they play much better defense.
And they're a lot quicker than those teams. They do not have the superstar like they had in the past in the Aguirres and the Cummings. Very balanced team. Illinois State, an excellent shooting team. Co-champions of the Missouri Valley Conference with Tulsa.
Embry and Cornley already going after each other, pushing around inside the paint area.
Here is Johnson, partially blocked. Boxing off well was Holmes, and you can expect that from DePaul.
Great block out. Oh, what a move.
Patterson not able to drop it. Rebound is cleared by Hank Cornley. Cornley averaging over 7.5 rebounds a game. And here's some antics by McKinney, who has a scratched eye. The white part of his eye, he sustained that injury in that loss, or that win, I should say, against Alabama.
Swart did not walk. It was an unusual move, but it was okay.
Here's the long-range gunner. He was the guy that beat Alabama. Stefanovic not able to drop that one.
Really surprised. Illinois State didn't go to the boards at all that time. Everybody dropping back to go against the press.
Approaching 2 minutes into this game. No one on the scoreboard yet, and there it's batted out to Cornley.
What we have, Gary, both teams are kind of mirror image of each other defensively. They pack things back in. So there's going to be outside shooting available in the 15, 18-foot range.
You remember, Billy, way back in the year when Ray Meyer was so impressed with this Illinois State team, I don't think he expected to play him again. And maybe will be the kind of team they'll have a tough time with because they're so much like them. Here is Warden.
This is Hook.
And the foul is spotted on Stefanovic as they break out of there. Stefanovic was born in Yugoslavia, moved to the United States at the age of 7. And there's Bobby Donewald, 5 years an assistant coach with Bobby Knight.
But Gary, this probably isn't going to happen, but earlier this year, and there's Coach Meyer, earlier this year, Illinois State held Baylor 20-0. We haven't had a point scored here with about 2.5 minutes gone in this ballgame.
Embry anticipated another move that time by McMillan, and that's the 3rd turnover against DePaul.
I'd look for Jackson to get in this game pretty shortly for DePaul because they've got the outside shot available, but nobody's looking to take it for DePaul.
Billy, we've said this all year long. The final year for Ray Meyer, put some pressure on the ball club. I think they feel it right now.
Well, Illinois State's taken away the inside game. The outside game is there, but they're going to have somebody to put it up.
Cornley, and as he spins, he's fouled. Marty Embry committing a foul. Cornley was an all-Missouri Valley Conference pick this year, averaging over 15 points a game.
You see the hand checking right here. No question about the foul on Embry, using his hands to go ahead and stop Cornley from making his move.
Cornley is the epitome of this Illinois State team. Physical team. They call them a blue-collar team. They use strength, not finesse.
Now DePaul in the zone defense in the out-of-bounds situation at 2-3.
Louisville jumping up on top of another Missouri Valley Conference team, Tulsa. Stefanovic has missed 2, and that's going to be off of Illinois State.
It's one of the few teams I've seen that really is protecting against the fast break, and Illinois State not going to the offensive boards at all.
Neither team has been able to drop a shot. Illinois State 0 for 5, DePaul 0 for 2. We want to remind our viewers in upstate New York and Virginia that they'll be leaving us shortly to see another game of special interest in the local areas. You'll be kept up to date on the progress of this game.
Well, Kenny Patterson breaks the drought, so it will not be any 20-0, and he used all of the rim on that one.
DePaul on top 2-0, 16:40 to go in the first half. The winner of this game will play the winner of Kansas-Wake Forest next week in St. Louis.
Good job by Patterson reaching in. As I said before, the difference between this DePaul club and some others, they can really stick you defensively.
Panovich is 0 for 2. He's going to try another one, and he gets a roll.
Oh, he's got 2 priors, 2-2, huh?
It's all even at 2. We mentioned how good a shooting team Illinois State is. Tyrone Corbin. Corbin, who's played so well in the national telecast. He's been the MVP in 4 national telecasts this year.
And he plays hard, gives you 100% all the time. Plus, he has nice ability, leaping wise and as an athlete.
There was Patterson to reach in. Saved instead by Swart. Lolovich. And he's going after him now.
Yeah, he's an excellent-looking shooter. Was really hitting before practice, but he walked on that play, got away with it.
He's shooting 52% from the field. In fact, this Illinois State team is shooting way over 50%. They're at school record pace both in field goal and free throw percentage. Patterson.
Tough play.
Embry to follow. Boy, he was up above him on that one.
Excellent rebound.
Artie Embry, who's had some problems with his knees, but they have gotten better. He's called jumper's knees. He's used them so much, he's just really having some pain in him. You can see he has braces on both knees.
He's going up against Corbin, too. You have to classify as the best defender, DePaul. He's been the only guy who's been able to get open so far.
Ward has it broken up, and we're going to have another foul on Embry. Artie Embry's picked up 2 in the early going.
Well, in the first game between these two clubs, Embry did not score a point, and the man coming off the bench for him, Comegys, had the big night with 21. So that's Marty's second foul, and Ray Meyer is blessed in the fact that he has good bench subs. And here comes Comegys right now.
Comegys, the outstanding freshman. They get 34% of their scoring from the bench. At one time, it was at 40%.
And DePaul again back in the 2-3 zone and out of bounds. Great play by Corbin.
Corbin, who leads them in steals. To Patterson. Kenny fouled by Stefanovic. And now Comegys will come into the lineup. Embry will sit down, and if you have not watched Dallas Comegys play before, you're in for a treat. He has the ability to make things happen. He had a 32-point game, a 17-rebound game. He set all kinds of block shots records, 77 of them.
He's another guy that when it comes game time, he plays. In practice, he likes to stand around. I kidded him before the game. He's had this wrist problem. He said it's feeling pretty good to him now, even though it's taped up. He missed 2 ball games near the end of the year.
Bad practice player. That's the understatement of the year.
I guess I was just trying to be nice.
Now, Patterson's not a good free throw shooter. He's shooting 58%. They've been working long and hard. Ray Meyer spent extra time with this junior to try to get a new technique. But, as you can see, he did not get the first one to go. That foul on Stefanovic was his second. And so we have a timeout with 14:52 in this first half, 7-4. And I would guess now maybe, Billy, that Ray Meyer's team's gotten over those pregame jitters. They kind of settled into things.
To be quite honest with you, Gary, I was very impressed the way they came out. And what you have is consistency with your defense, not your offense. They played good, hard-nosed defense, and that's what got them out of the box.
So DePaul with the early going lead, 7-4. Our viewers in New York State and Virginia will be leaving us momentarily to see another game of special interest in their local area. The shooting percentages, well, DePaul's hit half their shots. On the other hand, Illinois State has hit only 29%. As we mentioned, that is not what you'd expect from the Redbirds of Illinois State.
Well, Bob Donewald's going to make some moves. He realizes that DePaul giving up the outside shot. He's going to come in with Brad Duncan, another good shooter, so that gives him Stefanovic and Duncan, who can go ahead and hit it from the outside.
Illinois State earlier this year, as we mentioned, losing to DePaul 69-66, but they've beaten Tulsa twice, 3 other NIT teams, South Alabama, Utah State, Wichita State, Creighton a couple of times.
Gary, we've been keeping up with the teams in the tournament so far as to how they have done against other teams that made the NCAA field. Illinois State's 2-2 against the field and 2-2 against the top 16 seeds. DePaul, amazingly, 9-1 against the field and 2-0 against the top 16, which is one of the best records in the whole tournament.
North Carolina would be the other one with that outstanding record. Good substitution now. Brad Duncan, 33, has checked in for Illinois State. Here is Cornley against Comegys. Rebound by McKinney. The little man shovels it off, and Cornley can't get that one, and Comegys has it.
That's the first time Illinois State went to the boards. They got a good break. Oh, big break for DePaul.
That's going to be a foul on Cornley. McKinney had reached in, deflected the ball, and then Cornley picked up the foul.
McKinney showing great hustle, getting back down on defense. Kenny Patterson trying to force the break there. It wasn't there. DePaul got a big break on the deflection. Third team foul now against the Redbirds of Illinois State. Inbounding the ball will be Jerry McMillan, one of the co-captains on this team, along with Tyrone Corbin.
Comagese a little sloppy with a pass, and Duncan comes up with it. Duncan's their sixth man. He started some games this year, 6 to be exact. They like to bring him off the bench.
Excellent shooter.
Out of Anderson, Indiana. He's a teammate of Stu Robinson, who plays for Bobby Knight's Indiana team.
Anderson's had so many outstanding players.
Bobby Wilkerson.
Yep.
Ray Tolbert. Here is Duncan from that same high school, Madison Heights in Anderson, Indiana. That's the hook. Swart loves that. The foul will go on Comagese. First on Dallas, and a chance for a three-point play.
Swart has really been coming on very well for Illinois State in the last part of the season. He loves this hook shot. You don't see it very often in college ball. Excellent form, old-timey shot.
You said coming on, that's exactly right, Billy. In the last 12 games, he's averaged over 11.5, which is well above his seasonal average of 8.5.
Right. Good-looking foul shooter.
He's out of Monona Grove High School in Monona, Wisconsin, a suburb of Madison. 13:54 to go in this first half. It's all even at 7.
It's out on Comagese, who loves to work one-on-one. Shot's not there.
Farley tips it off to Swart. Here is Duncan.
Oh, that's a screen by Swart. Almost ran over McMillan.
That's a physical style. You expected that, didn't you?
Oh, nice move.
Beautiful play by Ricky Johnson.
Was waiting for him to get off track there. He's an excellent one-on-one player.
He's the all-time field goal percentage leader at Illinois State. He's just been excellent through the years, shooting over 54% in his career. Comagese against Swart. That's a tough shot.
One of the things that Dallas Comagese can do is shoot right in somebody's face. He goes up high, goes up straight, and can shoot at the peak of his leap.
We have our 4th tie of the game. Comagese is still growing. He came in at about 6'9". He's 6'10". He'll tell you what he'll be by the time he gets out of school.
Swart can get the ball anytime he wants against Comagese, so Comagese's not paying attention.
Ricky Johnson now kind of igniting this Redbird team.
And you can see Ray Meyer screaming at Comagese, who's kind of lost defensively out there. Man went right in behind him.
Illinois State leads by 2. Kenny Patterson gets it into Kevin Holmes. And with Swart playing some tough defense, they don't let you have much operating room.
And here you see that they talk about Bobby Knight, but Illinois State forces the ball down the court a lot quicker than does Indiana.
Hornley is called for pushing off. Comagese goes down. Let's replay this one.
You see Duncan bringing the ball up court quickly. Hornley gets it, and because of his strength, he just knocks Comagese to the ground.
Now the man that went out early with 2 fouls, Marty Embry, will come back in. That's Embry, number 51. And sitting down is going to be Holmes. Might have been a little tired. That last shot did not get on the way like he wanted to, and so Ray Meyer makes a change.
Well, another thing Ray Meyer really has at his disposal this year is a deep bench. He can come in with a lot of different players.
And a move by Embry, and he has Swart fouling him. Check that. That is Bill Bratzik, who's checked in. He's a 7-foot freshman who just came in and committed the foul.
Another fellow with an excellent body, but he gets out of position here. Embry goes up, takes him inside, and there you can see Bratzik getting him right on the arm.
Bratzik was the runner-up to Marty Simmons for Illinois' Mr. Basketball, as now Tony Jackson comes in, and here's a player that says, in the estimation of Ray Meyer, they cannot win without, as McMillan will sit down. McMillan, the only senior in the starting lineup.
Terry, now DePaul has in the game their most potent offensive lineup. When you have Comagese and Jackson at the same time, along with Kenny Patterson to move the ball up court, and Embry and Corbin to do the rebounding, they're very explosive offensively to take away a little bit defensively.
This DePaul team, not a good free throw shooting team. You can see, even though the stats are not good on the year, he hits both of those. It's all even again at 11.
Good job by McKinney, beating the press.
Almost traveled. Swart. And Embry brings it down. So they got Bratzik and Swart in there to go against this rebounding club. But DePaul to Comagese, and we have a foul. Foul is going to go on Ricky Johnson.
Now, you can see why Bob Donewald wasn't sending a lot of guys to the offensive boards. He didn't want to see DePaul get in this kind of a running game. An excellent fast break. Good job. Excellent by Jackson. On over to Comagese, who goes up, gets banged a little bit there, and misses the layup. It knocks right into the cameraman. That's why you saw that fuzzy picture.
And the guy that ran into him is Ricky Johnson. It was not Johnson that committed the foul, it was Ward. Ward committing his first personal foul, 16 foul against the Redbirds. Now, Comagese has really improved his free throw shooting. He was really suffering for a long time. He was down to 40%. Now he's got it up to 66%.
Gary, he's a guy that you want to have improve his foul shooting because he's going to go to the line a lot because he's so gifted offensively to get the ball inside.
He gives the lead back to DePaul by 2. McKinney with Jackson jumping in front of him, and we're going to have a foul on Tony Jackson, I believe.
McKinney a little bit too fast for him. Jackson playing the point there in that 2-2-1 full court press. You watch Jackson going to pick up McKinney right here. Coming over to play him just like he's a point guard, and he can't handle him one-on-one.
Got that knee up, and that's what Lenny Word spotted and called a foul on Tony Jackson.
Here's Jackson playing man-to-man against Duncan.
They know that Duncan can shoot well, and there's Jackson on the steal. That's his play, Billy. Right there in the paint, he goes up, he just shoots over people.
I'm really impressed with Illinois State's speed, though. Do you notice how they ran Jackson down, and only because he's so gifted offensively could he get the shot off.
A 4-point lead for DePaul. That's their biggest advantage here in the early going.
Now it's Corbin on Johnson.
Johnson made those 2 moves, and now Corbin is really aware of his quickness.
Ward is open with Comagese on his back. Good defense. And nice patience by Illinois State.
Again, Ward had the open spot in the paint there. They're not getting it to him. Ratzik at 7 foot and Ward at 6'8". They're big inside. There's the big 7-footer.
He's going to be a big kid.
Oh, he played in a small school, and his competition was not that good. He's just growing with the program. Rebounds.
Good rebound. Great rebound.
Some confidence.
Illinois State had not been crashing the offensive board. That's the first time. Ratzik really went in there. That's a push off by Patterson.
15-13, DePaul with the lead. There's Embry on the reverse, and Ratzik commits the foul. Let's go back to the other end and watch the 7-foot freshman.
Well, Bratzik's doing a good job on both ends of the floor. Here he makes a fine move, goes up for his jump shot. Pretty good defense by DePaul, but watch. No block out on the shooter. Bratzik comes right over the top, lays it back in.
On the other end, Bratzik committed his second personal foul. Out of Flanagan, Illinois. He, as we mentioned, the runner-up for the Illinois Mr. Basketball. We saw the guy that won it last year, and Marty Simmons, yesterday.
Embry didn't get any rotation on that shot.
10:29 to go, first half. Embry is shooting only 48% from the line.
He's a warrior, though. Here we go, the 2-2-1 full court press again by DePaul. Patterson with a kick.
Louisville still leading Tulsa. Tulsa, of course, the co-champions with Illinois State in the Missouri Valley Conference. What happened was Illinois State won the regular season of play, and then they were beaten in the tournament.
Second steal by Jackson.
Oh, Embry.
Beautiful play. And here's the difference in this DePaul club. Great pressure defense.
And Duncan is going to be fouled in the backcourt.
That's another kick, I think.
It is. It's going to be a kick.
Here we see the steal and great play. Pressure. Jackson gets a piece of the ball, then makes a great feed inside. Embry puts it up over his head.
Isn't that interesting? You know, he did that, I think, unconsciously. He didn't really realize what kind of move he made until he got up in the air and was able to back over and into the rim. 18-13. Biggest lead now. Paul playing very efficiently, but they can't let Duncan open like that.
That's right. That's why they put it inserted into the game to get that jump shot off. Key out for Illinois State now is to figure out a way to get this press beat.
18-15 DePaul. Patterson gets it into Comagese, back out to Kenny.
Nice follow through by Kenny Patterson.
You know, he was dropping his hand for a long time. Wasn't following through. That time it was artistically a success. And it's 20-15 DePaul. Ricky Johnson. Duncan again. Boxing off well is Comagese.
And DePaul really pushing the ball up the court.
They want this tempo stepped up, and Illinois State would like to slow it down as much as possible. Jackson.
Tough shot.
Here's McKinney. And Kenny Patterson commits the foul.
No question about the foul there. Kenny's kind of reaching. You can see Kenny bending over right there, a little tired because the game's been going up 90 feet. Good job by McKinney. Makes his move. Patterson kind of stays with him, then grabs the arm.
8:59 to go in this first half. DePaul leads it 5 points. Meyer family, including wife Marge, sitting there, but they must be a little relieved, Billy. DePaul's playing well.
I think they came out of the game, and it's a point you made at the top of the show, Gary. Would they come out tight, or would they come out and be able to play a loose ball game? Without question, I think they're playing to their capabilities. So regardless of what they do in this game, you can't fault them for being tight.
They've trailed 7 times at halftime this year, and to come back to win all of them, but right now they've got the advantage in the early going.
The 3-guard offense by Illinois State. Johnson, of course, a swing. With Duncan out there and Johnson and McKinney, they ought to get out some jumpers. There's one.
Doesn't take Duncan long to load up on that, and that's going to be a foul on Broxick over the back of Tyrone Corbin, and the 7-footer has 3 fouls.
Going to have to see a substitution. It's going to be Stefanovic coming in there for him. Good block out that time by Comagese, and an excellent block out by Tyrone Corbin on the inside. And when you block out well, you'll pick up a lot of fouls with men coming over your back.
17 fouls, so they're in a 1-and-1 situation. If there's one Achilles heel to this DePaul team, it's their free throw shooting. They're shooting 66%. Now, can you win a championship and shoot that way from the free throw line?
I think it's very difficult, Gary, because somewhere in the course of 5 games, you're going to have to get down to the wire. And free throw shooting and not being able to play a good tempo game can hurt.
Well, as we mentioned that, they are 7 of 9 today. That's 78%.
And, you know, that's a point that ought to be made also. Sometimes in a very short span of games, like a 5-game series, for some reason, all of a sudden you get on a hot streak, and that can carry on through. I remember a few years ago with Joe Barry Carroll from Purdue. His club was not shooting well with the exception of himself, but they got on a tear and made it all the way to the Final Four.
7-point lead now for this DePaul team, their biggest. The quickness DePaul is giving both McKinney and Johnson problems. They aren't able to penetrate like they'd like to.
As you pointed out, DePaul plays much tougher defense this year than at any time prior in Ray Meyer's great team.
Duncan now has missed 3 in a row after hitting that first one.
Kenny Patterson pushing the ball down the court, super.
And a collision underneath, and Lenny Wirtz will sort it out, and he's going to call a foul on which party?
I think it's going to be called on Johnson. I think Stefanovic had the little bigger push, and it takes something to knock Embry down when he's boxed out underneath the basket. And Jackson's going to go to the line. Now, let's see about this here. Well, both fellas were pushed, and I think there were 2 fouls committed on 2 different people. Jackson's the guy going to go to the line.
Holmes comes back in, Embry will leave, and Cornley will check back in for Illinois State.
Garrett, you notice something, the officials didn't come over to ask us which guy got fouled. Looking at the replay, we've seen the last of that in the NCAA tournament. Jackson might have got fouled on the, Patterson on that particular shot. Now, there's the push inside. Both DePaul players got pushed, but I believe that it should have been Embry going to the line.
Well, it's Johnson that committed the foul, his first, so officially that will be the way it will go into the scorebook as Jackson continues this very fine free throw shooting. 9 of 11 now is DePaul. Jackson, an excellent student. You know, he qualified to go to Stanford out of the San Francisco area. Has not been a starter this year. At first, it really bothered his play that he wasn't starting, but he's adjusted to that.
Well, it's nice to have a player of that ability to be able to come off the bench. It's the first time in Ray Meyer's coaching career he ever started the same lineup every game, making Jackson a 6th man.
Patterson committing the foul. Patterson's had to work hard defensively to stay with number 10, McKinney, and that will be his 2nd personal foul. 6 team fouls against DePaul.
And there we're going to see the Meyer and Meyer family, father and son. And they decide that it's time for Kenny Patterson to sit down. He comes right back with McMillan, who's a starter.
Ray Meyer's 700th win this year, and his career came against this same Illinois State team. 723 and counting.
You notice it's the only time DePaul gets out of that tough man-to-man is on an out-of-bounds situation. Good team size here. McMillan and Jackson, both 6'3", 6'4".
They just aren't giving them any shooting room. Here's Swart. 2 men on him, and he still cans it.
Swart seems to be the only fellow that effectively can do something inside. Cornley back in the ball game now. been on the bench for about 6-7 minutes.
24-17, DePaul with the lead. 7:17 to go until halftime. Brent will be with the scores and highlights. Comegys, and Johnson had it and comes out of there with it, and he's fouled by Tony Jackson.
Jackson on a reach, Holmes on a reach. Holmes just can't get that jump shot to fall.
Also at halftime, we should mention we'll have a preview of that SMU-Georgetown game in the West region from Pullman, and that'll be 2 7-footers. Pat Ewing against John Koncak.
Koncak was very impressive in the opening round game for SMU. The whole ball club looked good. The big surprise, though, for the Southwest Conference today when Arkansas, which had battled all year long with Houston, got knocked out in their opening game.
What about that Dayton team? We saw them Thursday. They turned around and beat Oklahoma yesterday. 4 points now for Ricky Johnson.
Ricky Johnson has that unusual form with his left hand. He had not been a good free throw shooter. He's changed his form now, and you'll watch him change his elbow when he grips the ball. It's a little special action. A little cock of the wrist and the elbow there. And
reminds me of somebody you're ready to hit a golf ball. You know, you change your grip and you move it around. It's worked for him, though. Don't mess with it.
Exactly.
He hit 20 of his last 22 free throws coming into this game. 24-19. Comegys fakes Ward up nicely.
It seems that whenever Dallas Comegys gets the ball, he believes he can score no matter who the defender is.
Comegys was the Philadelphia Player of the Year. We saw the other guy that was right behind him, Nate Blackwell, and there's VCU.
J.D. Barnett's club been tough on everybody this year. Nice move by Corley. He has yet to score.
And blocked beautifully that time by Holmes. McMillan brings it out to Jackson. Boy, that is Tony Jackson at his very, very best.
18 to 12 feet, 12 to 18 feet. Jackson is really hard to stop. It's a good leaper. They list him at 6'4" or 6'5", and he just goes over people.
Right now, DePaul is continuing to mount their advantage. It's 28-19, and they're playing both ends of the floor very effectively.
Hornley's got to get into the offense, Gary. He hadn't been able to touch the ball, hadn't scored yet. Here he is.
And he's going to miss that one. Johnson's there, though. And Ray Meyer is hot. He did not want Johnson getting that easy shot.
That was Ray Meyer's imitation of a lefty Drizel stomp, and Ray didn't quite get it down the floor, but he was aggravated.
After all of that defense, you let a guard sneak in and rebound like that. Here's another rebound by Johnson.
Johnson having a good game, a very good swing player. He's got speed, quickness, can shoot from the outside or take it in.
Stefanovic from the corner. Comegys is there again with those long arms.
Stefanovic got hit on the arm that time, Gary. It wasn't called. He tried to compensate by shooting the ball a little harder.
7-point lead for DePaul. 5:23 left in the first half. Comegys, he gets so high with that jump shot.
Nice
Holmes is there.
Super rebound. DePaul just killing Illinois State off the boards.
Kevin Holmes, his first 2 points, the sophomore out of the Los Angeles area. He and Tony Jackson, the first California players to play for Ray Meyer. Corley backing in. Oh, quick leap, but the ball was not where he wanted it.
Another fast break opportunity.
Jackson took something off the ball. Tyrone Corbin is there, and no. It's going to have a foul. It's going to go on Ricky Johnson.
Jackson kind of was surprised. McKinney, this is the second time McKinney's gone and altered a shot on the break. You see how high that young fella gets up. He's only 6'1", can dunk with ease. Jackson probably should have gone in there and tried to dunk that ball.
I don't imagine Illinois State is used to seeing teams as physical as DePaul. They've pretty well beaten people up, that black and blue approach to things that you can't move guys like Corbin and Holmes and Embry out of there. They take up a lot of room. They lift weights and they work at getting stronger.
Another thing about them, Gary, they're in great physical condition led by this fellow right here. And he has another year to go in his career, but he's got tremendous leadership ability. In practice, he puts out all the time. Matter of fact, Ray Meyer liked to slow him down a little bit at times. He only knows how to play one way when he goes on the court.
DePaul now is 11 of 13 from the free throw line. That's 85%. All those statistics coming in here didn't mean a thing, right? He gets them both. And DePaul leads it 32-21, and Ray Meyer's team is rolling.
It is the revelation of an automobile like none before. The Mercedes-Benz 190 class. Surprisingly trim and lean and fast. A virtue enhanced by its aerodynamic architecture. It has the quickest reflexes of any Mercedes-Benz sedan. From the engineers of Mercedes-Benz, a new class of automobile. The Mercedes-Benz 190 class.
Better.
Kevin Allen picked Old Style Light in a taste test against his favorite light beer.
Miller Lite.
What's the matter?
I don't believe it. I've been drinking this for quite some time now, and the Miller Lite is not what I thought it was, and the Old Style Light is much better tasting beer. Yesterday, I would have told a friend to drink Miller Lite, but today I'd have to tell him to drink the Old Style Light.
Test Old Style Light and taste the difference Kreuzening makes in a light beer.
I was surprised to find that a light beer could taste so good and be so light.
Next weekend, U.S. Olympic gold medal winner Scott Hamilton will again try to prove he's the best. The World Figure Skating Championships next weekend on CBS Sports Saturday and Sunday.
Well, Ray Meyer was pensive. He was obviously a little nervous about the start of this game. But, Billy, two things. You mentioned one, their inside strength and their free throw shooting. They're shooting 86% from the line.
They really are. You know, Gary, I called Al McGuire this morning. I wanted to get away from basketball a little bit, so I called Al. And he and Ray, of course, have been friends for a long, long time. And I said, Ray, Al, you going to watch the game? He says, I can't stand to watch it. And, you know, everybody pulling for Ray Meyer in this one.
All right, now they have evidently pulled very well because his team with a 32-21 lead, their biggest of the game.
Oh, good help by Corbin. Comagese is out of position. Corbin came all the way over to switch men.
And a new man who just checked in, Derek Sanders, 35, hits one, a 6'6 freshman out of the Chicago area. Comagese was talking to him, but didn't phase him at all.
Yeah, that doesn't get the job done. Dallas got saved by one man and not the other.
Barry McMillan misses, and he comes up with it. Good hustle, and he traveled to the ball.
Oh, I don't know about that one. Referee said he traveled, but McMillan kept the ball alive. Now, I realize he fell down, but watch him right here. This is a good reach by McMillan going in. Here he is. Now, the ball is loose. Now, watch. As he goes down, the ball is alive. He's not walking.
The official ran by and looked at you as you said that.
Well, he missed it.
Here's McKinney. Stefanovic has got to start hitting these shots. He's been ice cold, and we're going to have a foul. It's going to go on Sanders. Derek Sanders, they're very high on him. He was out of the Chicago Christian High School, an all-Chicago pick a year ago.
Now, Bobby Donewald is trying to do something here by sending people back to stop the DePaul break. But when you do that, you leave yourself very susceptible to be out-rebounded, which is happening to him down in the end. So therefore, if you don't hit your jump shots, and you're not going to crash the boards for missed shots because you're trying to get back in a break, you're in serious trouble.
Bob Donewald is an outstanding coach in Indiana. He produced Ted Abernathy and John Laskowski that played for Bobby Knight in Indiana. And he was on the coaching staff the year that Indiana won the national championship in '76.
He has the best winning percentage of any of the 16 assistants that have worked with Bobby that moved on to head positions.
Kevin Holmes, who's played so well in national TV appearances, and the six they have played, he's been in double figures every time.
Fans starting to get a little restless here. Illinois State well represented.
And away from the ball, we're going to have a foul.
This is going to be on Tyrone Corbin. He hit Johnson, knocked him to the floor.
That's the first on Tyrone Corbin. Ray with the little carnation there. He said this is St. Joseph's Day. Yesterday was St. Pat's Day. Today is St. Joseph's Day.
Well, I bet you that Bob Donewald was happy that it's not St. Pat's Day, because remember last year, Danny Need, the Irishman that used to be with Digger, whipped him in the NCAA first round.
Ricky Johnson able to hit his 9th point. Substitution coming back in will be Duncan for ISU, and Sanders will lead.
ISU really changing lineups around a lot, trying to find somebody that blends together pretty well.
Talking about how cold people are, Billy Cornley is 0 for 5 from the field, and Stefanovic is 2 of 6, and they have to shoot well for Illinois State to win this one.
Well, Cornley back down on the bench. He's only played about 6-7 minutes in his first half, and there's that peculiar move by Johnson. Doesn't get this one.
Barry McMillan will bring it up at the 3:46 mark of this first half. Thus far, DePaul couldn't be more pleased with the way they're going, and Tony Jackson tries to add to it as Johnson battling Corbin, and Johnson commits a foul. He is giving up an awful lot of height, but he's the only guy really hitting the boards.
That's right, and what happened, Tyrone Corbin just so powerful in there. Johnson tried to ride him out from underneath, picked up the foul, and Right now, DePaul just dominating the rebounds. You'll see it right here. Now watch Tyrone Corbin fight for position. As the ball comes out, Johnson tries to ride him out of here. There he goes, right there. Gets his butt underneath him and rides him out of the lane.
That is the third foul on Ricky Johnson. Johnson's 6'5", and Corbin, he's at 6'6".
Why are you elbowing me? Because I said butt. I mean, that's what he had to use to get him out of the way.
3:36 left in this first half.
Not a nasty
I didn't say
word.
a word. I didn't.
Not a nasty
I just
word.
looked at you. Didn't know if you said it. We've been working hard now. At the free throw line, Corbin with this one is now 6 of 6. This free throw shooting thing is becoming ridiculous.
DePaul really playing a fine game so far, Gary. Now they're back in the zone. Ray Meyer wanting to stay out of any further foul trouble. May give a little reprieve, though, for Illinois State to get their jump shooters loose and on track.
Sanders has come back in, number 35. Zwart fakes up Comagese, and Stefanovic good block.
That was McMillan, Gary, coming back in from the outside.
All of these guys can leap. McMillan at 6'4", now looks back to the bench for instructions with 3 minutes to go in the first half. DePaul coming in here with a record that is second only to North Carolina. North Carolina was 27-2 on the regular season. DePaul 26-2.
Foul on the inside. It's going to be on Comagese pushing off. He and Zwart were going after each other pretty good. Now we see that block. Pass inside. Zwart's got excellent position on Comagese. Goes up, gets the shot off. Nothing falling for Illinois State right now. Stefanovic has it, and there comes McMillan from the outside with a clean block.
They get you from all sides.
They're just swarming.
Second foul in the ball game against Comagese. Zwart to the line. It's his third year as a starter. He has 5 points. He has actually tied the school record today for games played at Illinois State, and he tied Rick Lamb. Remember Rick Lamb? Sure. He played on this team last year. He's playing in France now. He was drafted in the NBA, did not make it. As we have a substitution now coming into the ball game, Comagese sits down.
Embry back in there for him, so Ray Meyer's got that deep bench and not afraid to use it.
Sanders with a rebound, and there's McMillan again. But he didn't save it this time. What an effort by Jerry McMillan.
Well, it was a great effort, Gary, but in that particular case, when you're saving a ball on the end line, you ought to try to throw it towards your basket, not back towards the other team's basket.
And
CU, surprise,
that is surprising. Syracuse has played so many close games this year, and Louisville continues to beat the Tulsa Golden Hurricane.
Sanders looked good on his last shot.
Corbin down with a rebound. He has 6 rebounds already.
Illinois State cannot throw it in the ocean.
And the guys that you would expect to carry him, Cornley and Stefanovic in particular, can't hit.
I wonder if they can get any eligibility from Doug Collins, the great all-time star, huh?
There's Tony Jackson missing. Embry over the back. I think they got him for a foul. They did.
Is that number 3 or 4?
That is number 3.
Number 3. Embry picked up 2 quick ones, had to sit on the bench while Comagese came in. You'll see the pass. Nice sit down by McMillan. Gets it on inside. Jackson shooting exactly where he'd like to have the ball. Puts it up on the board. Here comes Embry. A little push off to get the ball, and then goes over the back of Zwart to commit the foul.
Embry will sit down, and Comagese comes right back into the ball game. But that's where the depth pays off. They can interchange, and Ray Meyer is doing a good job of substituting.
Well, another thing about his club, they seem to be very comfortable regardless of what the lineup is. And he's got Lamone Lampley also on the bench. Lamone down a little bit injury-wise, but capable of playing today.
Played very well in the last half of the season. He had an ankle problem, though, coming into this game. Zwart was 6 points.
Good-looking free throw shooter for a big man.
He's played a strong first half. 35-26. Illinois State as a team shooting only 32%. DePaul with 42.
Now point out something about opponents for DePaul. They've played a great schedule. They've only averaged 41% from the field this year against DePaul's defense, and that's really saying something.
And they are proud of that. They point that out. That is one of the banner things of this season. The best they've had. And that's the quickness they have and the fact that they have that bench that can come in and play the strong defense.
Sword all over Comagese.
Stefanovic got him.
How does that fella, who doesn't look like he possesses any strength, talking about Dallas Comagese, he's able to go up on the inside and get the shot off, almost had a chance for a three-pointer there.
Stepanovich now with 3 personal fouls, as is Ricky Johnson and Ratzig. So they are really getting into some foul difficulty, Illinois State is.
And here's Cornley coming back into the ball game. Bobby Donald has to be a little bit dissatisfied with his play so far because he has not scratched offensively.
He's their man, their main man, and has not been able thus far to get the job done. He 0 for 5 from the field.
When you're looking at a fellow that leads you in scoring, and it's a very well-balanced team, averaging over 15 a game, and he does not have a point in the first half, you're in trouble.
Thomas G's continues this onslaught at the free throw line. They're now shooting 84%, 16 of 19. 7 points for Dallas. You can see that left wrist is taped. He injured that wrist, and I don't think it's given him any difficulty. He was in some pain for a while. What hurt him most is he wasn't able to work out. He lost some of his conditioning.
I was just going to say, that may be why he's wearing a bandage saying, Coach, I can't practice.
I got into that one, didn't I? The way he practices, I don't know if he ever get in shape.
Ray wouldn't dare let him off because of injury out of practice because he'd figure out a way to do that all the time. He's on the floor again.
He's trying to draw a foul, and Corbin, did he flash through there? Tyrone Corbin from one end of the lane to the other. That's 6 turnovers now against Illinois State.
This is a very impressive half by DePaul. Just playing so well.
And that is going to be a charge on Holmes as he just ran over him. The strength of Holmes.
That's a pretty good move by Holmes. Just what hurt him here is he's so strong. He bangs right in there. Sanders goes down. Holmes puts up the nice soft shot, but he was just too strong on the play.
He and Embry so dedicated to lifting weights, and you can see what it's done for them. Their play inside. Coming up on 1 minute to go in this first half.
DePaul staying in the zone defense. Nice job by Corbin. He is so quick, like a cat. You're going up against a guy as fast as McKinney. Corbin at 6'7" is still quick enough to stay with him.
Sanders brings it into McKinney. You see the time left in the first half. Duncan has not been able to hit from outside. Cornley gets it off to McKinney, and good movement that time.
Excellent pass. Cornley, who has not scored, basically had a good opportunity to score that time, but saw a teammate who had a better shot, gave up the ball. That's a good sign.
Now let's see if DePaul goes for the last shot of this half with a 37-28 lead.
Be a smart move, Gary. You don't want that other team to get anything rolling. Looks like they're pushing it inside pretty well, though.
Jackson, that little patented shot of his, good box off. Sanders has it. The freshman has come in and given a pretty good job on the board.
DePaul would have been a lot better off holding for the last shot. You don't like the opposition to get that spark of life by scoring the last basket of a half.
Well, they got one a while ago. If they'd hit one here, they'd go into some momentum, and that one doesn't go. McKinney rebounds. That would have counted and it gone in.
Fine athletic move by McKinney.
So at halftime, DePaul is leading Illinois State 37-28 here at the Bob Devaney Sports Center in Lincoln, Nebraska. DePaul, the #1 seed in the Midwest. If they win here, they would continue on to St. Louis. Coming up next, Brett with scores and highlights of the other tournament games being played back east and throughout the country. 3 statistics that really show you what happened in the first 20 minutes. First, Illinois State from the field, they just could not find the bottom of the basket.
They really couldn't, Gary, and we pointed out that DePaul's been holding clubs down to 41% from the field, but they've got Illinois State down to 32%. Illinois State getting no second shots whatsoever.
But look at this. DePaul is 66% free throw shooter, and they are shooting in this first half 85%.
Well, they're really on a string there. They look very comfortable on the line, and if anything would talk about their emotional standing in this ball game, it would be free throw shooting. So they seem very composed.
Now in rebounding, DePaul getting the better of that.
Well, they've been dominant on the boards, and that has really told the tale of how they got their fast break going. It looked like Illinois State was so worried about DePaul's fast break that they didn't send anybody to the offensive boards, and it really cost them dearly.
The other stat that we don't show, but we want to mention, is 3 of Illinois State's players have 3 fouls each. In that first half, Cornley was 0 for 5 and Stepanovich 2 for 7. They're big forwards. They've got to start shooting the ball for Bob Donewald's club.
Cornley now getting excellent position, but he can't get the ball.
Boy, he and Corbin really, I should say Holmes, really going after each other in there. Here's Cornley. Nice fake. He's fouled, and I would imagine that Bob Donewald said, you go after him in this second half.
Bob Donewald been sitting on that bench very reserved, just sitting over there and relaxing. And these two fellas are really banging against each other, Holmes and Cornley. Cornley did a good job with his pump fake right there, and it could have been called on Embry as well as Holmes. And Embry already has 3.
2-shot foul, second foul going on Holmes. That is not Holmes at the line right now. That is Cornley, and Cornley, a 77% free throw shooter.
That's his first point of the game. Has not gotten a field goal yet.
And he's averaged 15.5. Led them in scoring 8 of the last 9 games, and they just got to have him. He's their meal ticket.
Let's see if Illinois State can pick up some intensity defensively. They did a pretty good job in the first half. DePaul beat him on the break and beat him on the boards.
Biggest lead of that first half was 11 by DePaul. It's down to 7 at this point.
Patterson back in the ball game. He sat a long time, but it didn't hurt DePaul at all when he was down. Nobody on Patterson right now.
Corbin showing his ability to shoot from outside, and Tyrone in double figures now with 10. Out of AC Flora High School in Columbia, South Carolina, a last-second addition recruiting-wise. Now he's the guy that they look to for all the intensity, the leadership.
Well, Illinois State saw his teammate quite often when Xavier McDaniel playing for Wichita State went up against him.
Foul inside, and picking up another foul is going to be Embry, and that would be his 4th.
Normally disaster on those other clubs that Ray Meyer took to NCAA action. If he lost a starting player, he really had to go to that bench and didn't have much there. But now out goes Embry and in comes Comegys, so Ray doesn't lose a thing.
As we mentioned earlier, 34% of their scoring comes from the bench, and primarily Comegys and Tony Jackson. Onovich 2 for 7, now 2 for 8 in the ball game.
Comegys grabs the rebound and bangs it up against the board just for good measure.
Glides to the other end.
I love watching him. He's just a pleasure.
Look at him.
There he is. He gets his own rebound.
And Swart got a piece of him. Swart committing a personal foul.
He's an amazing offensive player. If he will just keep working at his game, he's going to be one of the all-time greats. Because he just has a knack for scoring inside. Gets it right back. You see him here. Goes back up. Even though there's strong people around him, he's able to score again.
Billy, yesterday we had a Temple Ball Club. We talked about a Philadelphia brand of basketball. Nate Blackwell, a freshman. What we mean by that is they're very wise. They seem to see the floor. They seem to be aware of people. You see Comegys at times with that ability.
But I believe it's because they play so much ball in the off-season. Philadelphia has great leagues. We mentioned the Sunny Hill League yesterday. But the kids play all year round, and that's what makes you a better ball player.
Here's Cornley going to work again, but he had to shoot that up with somebody in his face. And somebody being Holmes.
Illinois State now starting to crash the offensive boards a little more, and that means that DePaul will be able to get their break going if they can grab the rebounds. Illinois State well drilled defensively. It's amazing to see so many teams that do a lot of the same principles. We saw it in Dayton. Don Donaher's club plays the same type of man-to-man.
A foul on Comegys. I don't know. That's his 3rd. I did not see it.
Well, it's probably a little push off on the inside.
Joey Meyer, the man, will take over the reins, and Bob Donewald. You said at half you were surprised how, you know, really stoic he's been. He hasn't shown that much emotion.
Very calm. Now, Comegys the banging in. Oh, he threw that little elbow there, and that's what he got picked up. 3 officials working the game, as will be the case in all NCAA action. So it's hard to get away with pushing and shoving away from the basket.
There's Cornley. He got loose on that one. That is 4 points for Cornley, 41-32. Now, Paul, a little bit of foul difficulty at this particular time. Comegys picking up his 3rd, and it goes earlier Holmes. Should say Embry with his 4th. Here is Holmes, and that will be Stefanovic, and he has 4 himself.
Yeah, both clubs in real trouble foul-wise, and it would seem that Stefanovic saying that he doesn't want to come out of the ball game right here, but you see he's a little late getting to the spot, commits the foul without question.
And inbounding the ball will be McMillan. Stefanovic having a struggling afternoon after hitting that winning shot against Alabama.
He does not want to come out.
Duncan will replace him. Brad Duncan, 6'4" junior.
And Stefanovic, interesting story that he may qualify for the Yugoslavian Olympic team. He's played for their junior club. Another push off.
And this is on Corbin.
Now, what Corbin is saying is that Johnson grabbed him by the shirt. Let's see if that's the truth. See right there, he grabbed him by the shirt and fell down. The official saw the second play and not the first one.
A lot of fouls away from the ball.
Now, what you might have is that the official's trying to keep it clean in there, seeing that this game's getting a little physical.
Illinois State trails 41-32. Ricky Johnson had a spurt in that first half.
Ray Meyer going to the 2-3 zone, trying to stay out of further foul trouble.
Rebound Patterson. They get one crack at it, and that's it. DePaul on the board.
They really have to get back on defense against DePaul with Patterson in the game, because he forces the action down the court extremely well.
Comagese, who had 21 points in the first meeting of these two, wants the ball. He's yelling for it.
He's holding his ground very well. He has excellent hand. What a move! Goes down.
He really fell down hard. I guess he's all right.
Oh, and he ran down court.
He almost did a complete somersault after that. But how did he get inside on that play?
Well,
he's falling down again.
He gets knocked down again, and Cornley is letting him have it inside.
Zwart. Nice inside move by Zwart.
And I'll be anxious to see how Comagese reacts to this. They're really banging him around inside.
Well, we thought it would be a physical game, and it really wasn't as physical early as we thought it might be, but now it is starting to really pick up. Patterson almost walked to the ball. McMillan to Holmes.
Nice ball movement by DePaul. This is a real team here, Gary, as opposed to the other clubs that Ray had. I mean, they're looking for each other. There's no star system here whatsoever.
Well, he said he thought when we got to tournament play, we'd be better off because we don't rely on the one superstar.
DePaul picking up intensity in that 2-3 zone.
Here's Cornley. Comagese blocked it. Comagese with the block. He can score, he can rebound, he can block shots, and he's a freshman.
And he's going to have over 80 blocked shots after this game for the year. Good feed. Boy, Cornley is just banging people in there.
Take some of his frustration out some way or another.
He's just hitting people.
There he's guarding Holmes.
There he is again. He's pushing off against Holmes.
Denny Patterson.
I would imagine he got a little bit of a tongue lashing at halftime, and he's now wanting to really put out, but he's going to get called for a cheap foul here shortly.
This is the biggest lead of the game now for the Blue Demons. And timeout is called by Bob Donnerwald and the Redbirds. It's picked up as far as being physical, but still, Ray Meyer's team is doing what they want.
No, he isn't. But you know, Gary, I read something in a paper. A fellow by the name of Joe Retton, who was the great coach from Fairmont State. There's a block by Comagese, but Joe Retton was a great coach at Fairmont State. And I read about a girl from Fairmont, West Virginia named Mary Lou Retton. I wonder if it's his daughter, because she just did a perfect 10 in the American Cup gymnastic event.
Well, Dallas Comagese obviously doesn't know anything about that.
He's no threat to her.
Duncan just isn't zeroing in on that outside long-range shot that he's known for.
Illinois State really having problems right here.
Here's Ricky Johnson with a rebound. 14:44 to go. This Illinois State crowd has not been able to get into the ball game. DePaul has not allowed it. Got a good representation here. And nice shot that time by Michael McKinney.
Well, they can see they're going up against a little bit of the 2-3 zone. The jump shot's going to be available. DePaul's taking the crowd, the fans from ISU, right out of the ball game.
There's Corbin again. He's getting that ball in low, and that's duck soup for him. He has 12 points.
Let's see if DePaul goes back to man-to-man now. Ray sees that they're hitting the outside jump shot, so he changes his defense.
DePaul's getting very good scoring from their forwards. They have 29 points. There's Ward. That's a long ways out for him. Comagese with another rebound.
Swart waiting for Comagese to come down court. Puts a little double team on Patterson.
Patterson almost had that one batted away. Here's Dallas. There's Corbin.
All right, Tyrone Corbin is one of the most underrated players in America. But not a coach in America wouldn't want him on their ball club.
14 points for Corbin. There's a lot of fan clubs starting up around the country. Biggest lead of the game now for DePaul. And Billy, we've seen DePaul a lot. Have they played any better in this?
I really haven't seen them play a more patient ball game, confident type ball game, and with all the pressures on him, you really have to admire their kids.
Hey, McKinney's 2 for 2 now. 6 points.
The DePaul kids can read the newspapers too. You know, a lot of people got on Ray Meyer when he lost that 3rd straight opening round game in the NCAAs. Johnson again grabbing Corbin by the shirt. I'm surprised he's getting away with that.
Tell you what, though, this DePaul team is not going to be intimidated by any of that. There's McMillan. The basket will count. McKinney's committed the foul.
Now, Gary, one of the reasons may be, and you got to give Ed Mineta, their athletic director, a lot of credit for this. DePaul has really beefed up their schedule. They're rated on the Power Survey right now to have the 5th toughest schedule in the country, behind Virginia, North Carolina, Villanova, and Missouri. So when you beef up your schedule, your guys get used to playing against tough people. Therefore, you're better suited to go into the NCAA tournament.
Rebound by Swart. That basket by McMillan, by the way, was his first of the game, his first 2 points. 53-38. Ricky Johnson.
Johnson's quite an athlete.
Comagese has been on the floor about 10 times. That time he tried to draw the charge.
And he gets that little grimace on his face, and then he'll come right back down, put up a nice shot.
Kind of like the silent assassin at the other end, huh?
Here he is.
Broken up by McKinney. McKinney playing very well right now for Illinois State.
Paul maybe getting a little tired right here in this stretch.
Ricky Johnson, Cornley, and Cornley has it broken up. And we're going to have a held ball. It's going to go to DePaul on the alternating held ball rule. And Cornley has probably, Billy, never had the ball stripped like that all season long. He's so strong, but they're just taking it away from him.
Yeah, he's kind of a miniature Lorenzo Charles, and he's looking at the referee saying that he got the ball stripped. That's something to say. A 230-pounder is a miniature of anything.
Hey, Syracuse has come back. Have you seen that? They're leading by 1, and there's a foul on Cornley. Cornley right now is unhappy.
Yep, he's just frustrated. He's frustrated. He's banging around. And look at Johnson. This is quite an athletic move right here. Going in, excellent play. Made a nice drive in the first half that was very similar to it.
He had his knee clear up in the face of Comagese, and Louisville continues to prevail in that game against Tulsa. Louisville, that rest, they may have gotten Billy Thompson healed with that knee.
Well, that's been their problem all year long. They just haven't had a healthy club and didn't have a deep bench to go ahead and compensate for it.
Holmes against Cornley, and in your face, huh?
DePaul, the far superior team in this game, Garrett. They've been that way from the outset. I don't think Illinois State's playing as well as they can play, and DePaul's playing as good as they can play, and that's the difference. Cornley's going to pick up number 5 here shortly.
Oh, boy, is he pushing in there.
He will not go out when he's not swinging.
11:44 to go in the game. Methodically, DePaul is putting this team away. Cornley misses. Rebound by Comagese.
That's what happens when you mentally get frustrated with your game in basketball. You can get up too tight. And Cornley's doing that right now. He can't make shots that would be duck soup for him normally.
That's 8 rebounds now for Comagese, and Patterson shooting better. I wanted to tell you, he has really struggled. In the last 7 games, he shot 26% for the field. And in this game, he's been a new man outside. He has 9 points. That could come at a good time for DePaul. And here he goes on the steal.
DePaul is playing super basketball, and even that young lady is smiling. Ray's wife, Marge, is smiling.
And DePaul has come out in the second half, and they have not let up. They've been relentless, and there's their lead.
Chevy Tough is taking charge.
Farmers know machinery. Our livelihood depends on it. We know trucks, too, because farmers buy more trucks than people in any other kind of business. And we own more Chevys than any other make. Farmers ask a lot of their trucks every day. And when it comes to tough trucks, like this 3/4-ton 4x4, farmers pick Chevys. And we can be mighty choosy.
Chevy Tough is taking charge.
It's just not fair. Pitting one Wilson Sting against 2 top competitors? Comparing Sting's all-graphite performance to the aluminum head in Kinex? Of course the mid-size Sting gave players better control. Of course Sting felt better, played better, did more for their game. Sting simply had an unfair advantage. And you wouldn't want that, would you?
Sting by Wilson, keeping you ahead of the game.
Now, you gotta go with graphite.
See Olympic gold medalists Scott Hamilton, Torvalin Dean, and Katarina Witt in the World Figure Skating Championships, March 24th and 25th on CBS Sports Saturday and Sunday.
Illinois State has an interesting technique, Billy. On their bench, they have assistant coach Bruce Stone, and you can see he's wired up. He has a microphone, and up above is John Bennington Jr., And what is he trying to tell him?
Well, you get a different perspective up in the stands in regard to particularly looking at defenses. And I've often wondered why other coaches didn't go to something like this. Now, in football, Gary, if one team doesn't have that type of apparatus, the other team can't use it. I wonder why it doesn't hold true for basketball.
Here is Duncan, and Duncan hits it. You saw that stat a moment ago, 77% from the field by DePaul. That almost matches their free throw shooting.
Now Illinois State picking up full court, chasing all over the floor. When you do this against DePaul, particularly with a guy like Patterson handling the ball, you're really taking a chance of getting absolutely blown out.
Comegys, Cornley had it for a moment, and here comes Patterson, but he stepped out of bounds with it.
Kenny Patterson grabbing the ball, looked like he wanted to eat it. He really hustling, though.
Kenny out of Queens, New York. You know, the thing that maybe is most impressive about him, and all the time he's played, Billy, he's only averaged a little over 2 turnovers a game. And that's something because he's always pushing, always creating. McKinney broke it up. Comegys and McMillan.
Good run down by McMillan. And now Dallas decides he's going to get in the game, and he runs down the court. Everybody going full speed. Dallas going about half.
10 minutes left to go in this game. Holmes again. Swart comes out of there.
Swart's been battling well all day for Illinois State. They just can't get anything to fall for him. Here's the left-hander.
Boy, he can move, and he's fouled. Foul is going to go on Holmes. That's his play, that left-handed drive to the basket, and Holmes has 3.
Well, Johnson's quite an athlete. He's got a lot of quickness there and leaping ability to go inside, but you got to take the left-hand drive away from him, Gary. If he's going to make that move to the left, you got to force him to go back the other way.
Derek Sanders, 35, comes in. Ricky Johnson is from Indianapolis. He played at Washington High School. Know another guy that came from there? George McGinnis.
I was reading about that, and his coach said that next to McGinnis, he's the finest all-around athlete he's ever had at the school, and that's saying an awful lot. George was a man among boys when he was in high school. Actually, when he went on to college, it was the same way, and had a great pro career also.
And so, from Indianapolis, Johnson is a good free throw shooter. In fact, hitting 81%.
You know, talking about a guy like McGinnis, he was one of the first guys I ever saw, Gary, that had power and soft hands.
He could shoot outside. He'd set out there. Remember, I'd set out there and put him in? Wasn't a jump shot. He'd just sit and pump him in. About 6'8", 6'9", big, strong guy.
Remember who was his coach, his last coach in college? Bobby Knight.
Bobby Knight.
And then he left to go in the pros early. And Bobby said they won't miss him. They might miss me if I leave.
Well, he's still there.
Right.
That's going to be a foul, and looks like Duncan is the guilty party. His first, 15th foul.
There's DePaul going right over the top. Normally a very dangerous pass to make if you can't get the lob there because you're going right through the teeth of the defense. DePaul got away with it.
McMillan to inbound.
Good pump fake by Comegys. You know, we have Duncan is really hustling.
Duncan trying somehow to get the ball, but just couldn't get away from McMillan.
Duncan really hustling, showing some quickness on defense. Obviously, Illinois State not willing to give up in this game at all. When you get so aggressive out front defensively, there should be something open eventually inside.
DePaul has all this time in the world they want to take. They're just going to kill the clock now as they approach 9 minutes.
This good movement by DePaul. There it is.
Johnson against Patterson, and he draws the foul.
Well, Swart didn't believe he committed the foul. Kenny Patterson did the smart thing, using the pump fake, staying inside.
That's 3 on him.
A good idea for big guys when they have a little guy inside is let him pump fake all day long and pick up the 3-second call.
Marty Embry will come back in. Comegys will sit down. Comegys upset about something. Look at him. He's not happy.
He doesn't want to come out of the game. Ray going down there to try to calm him down a little bit. Dallas is amazing. He likes to play in the games now. And he's shaking his head. I'd imagine Tony Jackson sitting over there. He hadn't gotten in the second half yet because the team's been playing so well. Ray didn't have to go to it.
Patterson now with 12 points. And his shooting effective today. 5 of 8 from the field. And that might be a turnaround as far as his shooting is concerned. He needed a game like that.
Now, he still shoots a little bit flat on that foul shot and doesn't use his toes at all to get an arch on the ball.
60 to 43, 8:50, and Cornley is just continuing to struggle.
Well, he's going up against powerful people, Gary. Probably he gets by quite often by being able to push and be free, and today you can't get that.
Nice play by Embry, who just checked in. He has 9. They just keep coming at you, don't they? It doesn't seem to matter which 5 is out there.
Bobby Donewald just sitting on that bench having to take it. His club being totally overpowered in this one.
Duncan, tough shot, gets the roll. That's only 4 points for Duncan, and Duncan's averaged 12 a game.
Showing he doesn't mind battling, though.
He had 14 points in that first DePaul game.
All-time career foul shooting man here at ISU. There's Conley with a nice rebound.
8 minutes to go in the game. 62-45. DePaul, Conley. Ooh, tough pass. I don't know how Ward caught it. And it's going to be off of DePaul. There's Donewald.
Well, sometimes the coach, you just have to sit there and take it when your team's being pounded away.
He's averaged 20 wins a year. In 7 of the last 9 years, they've won 20 games. Louisville continuing to lead Tulsa.
Must have been quite a shock for ISU to go from Gene Smithson to Bobby Donewald this far. 2 excellent coaches, but 2 entirely different styles.
The run and shoot of Smithson.
And he's got, you know, he dresses differently, he acts differently. Got that hairdo going for him.
And we'll be joining that game later. Virginia Commonwealth and Syracuse all even after VCU had the early lead.
Gary, we're the only announcing team from CBS that hadn't had a close game.
Well, it's all your fault, I guess. I don't know who else to blame. Corbin hits again, and I think DePaul better save some of this now for St. Louis, huh?
They are really playing well.
16 for Ty. 12 by Comegys. Patterson with 12. Embry with 9. What balance.
This has to be, though, from start to finish, one of the finest games DePaul's played all year against a quality opponent.
There's Embry, rips it down. Clear it out. Here he comes. Millen off to Tyrone Corbin, and they'll reset it.
Well, you couldn't ask for anything more. Paul came out here. You know the pressure on the team, reading everything about Ray Meyer not able to win the first game in the tournament. You know the kids had to feel it. They just have done a workmanlike job in every facet of the game.
Well, they get this obstacle out of the way, Billy. That first game where they lost 3 in a row, that psychologically has really got to be an advantage now.
That was one of the few mental mistakes of the game, but here comes Corbin hustling.
Duncan, and they're going to call the charge.
Barry McMillan's down.
I think he's all right. He did a good job defensively.
He saw the cameraman there. He just hamming it up a little bit. You see the play. Now here was a little mental mistake. Cross-court pass, very dangerous at that point. Duncan picks it up. McMillan does a good job getting back on defense, waiting on the play.
A lot of the press corps coming from the Chicago area for this game. They wanted to be sure they were here in case it was Ray Meyer's last game. Next week, the same thing will be in St. Louis as they document his final year.
That's right. Ray can't get too upset with what happened, but that's what happened right on that sequence of the pass being thrown. Ray was upset, not so much with the interception, but the pass was thrown at all.
Well, he'll have something to refer to after the game in the debriefing session. He'll say, remember that one pass? You guys didn't play a perfect game anyway.
Well, that would have been a Dean Smith comment. Ray won't come up with that. Dean Smith remembers all of those kind of things.
Boy, his team was impressive yesterday.
They played very well.
North Carolina.
And they get another week off to rest their wounds a little bit until they go down to Atlanta.
They meet Indiana. That ball looked like it might have been kicked. It goes out of bounds. Looks like it going through shortstop, and it'll be Illinois State's basketball.
Well, you can see the Illinois State players right now kind of dejected. I mean, they're playing hard, but they realize they've been up against a superior force today.
McMillan for the steal, committing the foul at the 6:04 mark. They call him Spider-Man. He has a black belt in karate. He's so quick. And another thing I was told about Jerry is that he had a deaf friend in high school, and he understands the sign language. He uses it very effectively, can talk to the deaf with his hands, and it's a remarkable young man.
Well, Ray has had that nice connection with the players from Jersey.
Oh, Sanders impressive.
Well, Sanders is a fellow that has been drilling it pretty well. Had a couple in the first half. Looked good on that shot.
5:48 to go, 65-49. Paul just kind of putting on a clinic out here.
Duncan still hustling, playing very aggressive defense. And here comes Corbin across the lane.
Embry drives out of there with it. You think about this DePaul team that Joey Meyer will inherit next year, Billy.
They'll be one of the best in the country.
You got McMillan as a senior and Raymond McCoy a senior, and the rest of them are going to be back.
You know, Gary, what's interesting, we've seen so many teams in the NCAA tournament that are extremely young.
Coming in now is Bratzik, who was in foul trouble early in this game, and that's Swart, 45, who will sit down.
Here's Tony Jackson getting up off the bench now. Ray Meyer going to the bench. You can't really call Jackson a sub. I mean, he plays as much as a starter, scores so well.
But that was an issue early in the year. He was really disappointed. He'd been a starter as a freshman. And then they moved him into the six-man role, and Ray Meyer said he did smile for a long time, but he's adjusted.
Nice
Patterson.
job. There's nothing working right for ISU. They make a good defensive play, as Corley did on Corbin on the drive, and it goes right back to Patterson for an easy play.
Kenny Patterson is really fired up. He went in on that last drive. Bob Donewald has wished the last 5:03 would he elapsed in a hurry here. He'd like to just get out of here and get ready for next year. 6 of 9 for the field is Patterson, but Patterson's shown more emotion in this game than I've seen him show this year.
Well, Bob will get ready for next year, and assuming a tough shot inside by Corbin. Assuming that he wins again next year, you know, there are only 9 schools in the United States that haven't had a losing record since 1970. That's a stat that I couldn't believe, and ISU is one of them.
Oh, nice steal by Corbin. Watch this.
Some athlete.
You just hold your breath on a play like that.
And you know who's the first man down court at the other end? Tyrone Corbin. What a hustler.
Duncan missing, and Corley. Look what I've got. 69-51, 4.5 minutes left. The game to follow here in the Bob Devaney Sports Center will have Kansas against Wake Forest. Kansas the Big 8, Wake Forest from the ACC. And that will play, the winner of that game will be playing these DePaul Blue Demons. Most of you will be seeing that Syracuse game, Virginia Commonwealth. As you noticed, the last score we had, it was all even.
Well, in that type of a ball game, you can expect Pearl Washington to have his hands on the ball at the end. A really gifted freshman performer, one of those that we picked on our freshman All-American team.
That's right, and you saw him in the Big East Finals. You thought he was outstanding.
Sensational player. Of course, yesterday we saw Steve Alford, and we also selected, and today Dallas Comegys.
I think those votes have been substantiated. They have been reinforced with the play we've seen at tournament time. And Duncan, the long-range guy, makes it 69-53. Duncan with 8.
And now with a good ball-handling team in the game, as they have Jackson and Patterson and McMillan and Corbin, very difficult to take it away from DePaul.
And there was an example of it. Duncan committing the foul. Ricky Johnson will come back into the game, and you wonder now if Ray's going to start clearing his bench. Raymond McCoy will come in. You almost hate to take everybody out of there. They're playing so well. You'd like to just continue on, huh?
Ray and Jackson are going at it pretty good on the sidelines. Jackson doesn't want to come out of the game. He played an excellent game in the first half, and then he didn't see any action here at the start of the second half. He wants to play in the game.
Joey Meyer tried to cool him down a little bit. Well, this team has come in here with something to prove, and anybody near him is going to hear about it. They're tired of hearing about losing those opening round games.
That's right. You see there how Patterson doesn't use his legs at all to get a nice rocking motion on that foul shot. It goes up there awful flat.
We have a timeout, 3:26 to go. DePaul coasting to this impressive win.
This is Mr. Goodwrench. Did you know that your GM car's engine uses more air than gasoline? For every sip of gas, it takes 15 gulps of air. That's why a clean air filter helps keep you from wasting power or damaging your engine. So let Mr. Goodwrench check your air, fuel, and oil filters. Chances are you'll save gas and money, too.
It's another of Mr. Goodwrench's good ways
to keep that great GM feeling with genuine GM parts.
Wallace, you gotta keep him out of there!
I'm used to him yelling, but not at me.
Out your best. Bring out your best.
The best has a taste all its own.
Nice game.
Enjoy it.
Well, after the conclusion of this game, we'll be switching to the Virginia Commonwealth Syracuse game, and VCU now has taken the lead. And then following that, most of you will be seeing a game from the West region. That's in Pullman, Washington. Georgetown against SMU. There's the time left in this one, this second round game, 3:26. Field goal shooting this game continues to be drastically in favor of DePaul, shooting 52%. Illinois State 37.
37, which is 4 below the average that DePaul's held their opponents. Now McCoy in the game, another fellow that's an excellent ball handler.
They like to get him in if they're in a delay game. He's a good free throw shooter.
Cornley is still banging around. He's on Corbin now. You watch those two fellows pushing each other. Corbin's asking for some help from the official.
Oh, the interception that time by Bratzik. McKinney. Boy, he had that one up in the rafters, bringing it down.
When McKinney shoots around in practice, he shoots that special arch.
And Raymond McCoy is fouled by Duncan. That'll be 4 fouls on Duncan, and here comes Raymond McCoy, one of the 2 seniors on the team out of Chicago Heights and Bloom. He was the transfer from the University of San Francisco.
We've mentioned it a number of times in our broadcast, but when Raymond was a senior in high school, it was he and Isaiah Thomas, and a lot of people not being able to decide which one was going to be the better ball player. Oh, the ball now starting to get a little shaky.
Yeah, well, with 2:45, McKinney on a spinning move.
It's down to 12.
69-57.
A lot of crazier things have happened in the NCAA tournament.
That would be crazy.
It really would be.
Oh, Corbin. And Cornley about took him apart. That's his 4th foul. That shows you the strength of Cornley, because Corbin had some momentum headed towards the basket.
And the athletic talent of Corbin to be able to go up there and not come down flat on his back. Comegie's back in the ball game. Embry going out. Good pass by McCoy. Looking one way, hitting the other. There they go. Cornley got the ball. It's just that he took Corbin with him.
DePaul in the second half really haven't had to hit those free throws, but they're kind of diving off. They were 2 of 8 in the second half before this last free throw.
They're probably the most consistent player in all facets of the game for DePaul is this fellow right here on the line, Corbin. He's shooting 71% from the foul line also, so no real weak facets in his game.
20 points for Tyrone Corbin. He's not only a consistent player, but he's a consistent person, a good person. He's a computer science major, very bright, very studious type young man, and there's a 3-second violation against ISU. 13 turnovers against the Redbirds.
Picking up full court. Nobody from DePaul taking the ball out of bounds. So Comegie's comes back. Now you see ISU not guarding the man taking the ball out of bounds. Nice job by McCoy.
Here comes Jackson.
Does a nice job looking back, realizing people are behind him.
You know, McCoy's helped this ball club in some ways, just like right now, able to move around to the ball, handle it. Could be a big factor yet in this tournament.
McCoy will go to the line. He can hit a free throw. And he does handle the ball very, very well.
Look at Patterson. Quickness. A minute 52, you see it. DePaul putting the finishing touches on here to move into the Midwest Regional next week in St. Louis. They'll play the winner of the game between Kansas and Wake Forest.
A little version of a 4 corners right here by DePaul. And with the good ball handlers in the game, it'd be very difficult to take it away from him.
Boy, Duncan must be tired. He's been chasing this entire second half out there. Patterson, Comegie's.
That was just great basketball by DePaul. Good patience, great teamwork, and excellent ability.
Well, they put the touches on that for next week. Ray Meyer grinning over there. He liked that. Bratzik, 7-footer.
I like him, Gary. I really do. Bratzik can be a real good ball player.
Well, interestingly, he and a guy by the name of Barry Sumter, remember him from Louisville?
Oh, yeah.
He was also from a small school in Illinois. Both of them not playing that stiff a competition, but both have good futures.
Bratzik is going to be a very big kid, and he's already pretty strong. And he looks like he likes to play.
Reminder, once again, at the conclusion of this game, we'll quickly shift to that Virginia Commonwealth Syracuse game.
Jackson was in the lane about 10 seconds, not called.
That was an unselfish move by Corbin. Jackson with 8 points, and you see the time left. What an impressive performance by Ray Meyer's team.
Look at Ray, gave me the thumbs up sign.
Well, 724 of them now. They're 15 seconds away, and now Lawrence West will come in for the first time.
That's not exactly a red R-back cigar. Now, Lampley's thrown in the game. He hasn't reported. Now, it's going to be a technical. No, Ray does a smart thing.
He called the timeout.
Yep, he called the timeout. He's always thinking. 15 seconds in the game. He put Lamone Lampley in the game. Lampley just ran onto the floor. And Ray is saying you forgot to report. So Ray, is, so not to get the technical, calls the timeout. Is the coach thinking or not? That's a great sequence.
Well, you've been coaching for 42 years. You've seen it all, haven't you? And I imagine somewhere down the trail he had that happen to him before. But did you see him? He knew it instantly. It wasn't a case of somebody telling him. He charged off of that bench, moving pretty well. He's lost about 40 pounds, and pretty quick and active.
Oh, he looks great. As a matter of fact, I think Ray looks better now than he ever did in his life since I've known him in the time I've been involved with broadcasting. Seems to get younger every day.
I've enjoyed it.
And I still believe that if Joey, who is his son, was not his son, Ray would be coaching next year. I think he just says, hey, I've got to let Joey have a shot.
They're smiling.
Look at Joey's laughing a little bit. He's the assistant. He's supposed to get the guy to report.
Well, it's at a time it wasn't critical, so maybe it's a learning lesson for Lampley that wasn't costly. Now look at him on the bench now. They're starting to celebrate. They're hugging each other over there in the DePaul bench.
Now, you think those kids didn't read some newspaper clippings to know how much it meant to their coach to get by this first ball game. And they didn't want to go down in history of being the fourth group that didn't get him by the first round.
Well, they got that monkey off their back. The albatross has been removed, and they will continue on in tournament play. That's broken up. Nice hustle that time by William Anderson, who's checked in. 10 seconds away from St. Louis is DePaul.
What you want here is nobody to commit a foolish foul.
This is Jack Latner, Johnny Latner's son.
Good block.
They're not going to get a shot, though. That will end it. DePaul with a 75-61 win. Our NCAA Tournament representative, Dave Hart, the Missouri director, athletic director. And look at this. 70 years young. I want to thank our director, John McDonough, our producer, Gene Harper, for just an excellent job today. As 16 members of the Ray Meyer family start to celebrate. Their season will continue. They will move on to the Midwest Regional with this impressive win today. DePaul now with a 27-2 record, 724 wins for this grand man. And now to Brent Musburger.
All right, Gary, thank you very much. Congratulations to Ray Meyer. We'll hear from him later in the afternoon. Our Chevrolet most valuable players from that game: Ricky Johnson from Illinois State, Tyrone Corbin, 20 points and 19 rebounds. Meanwhile, these two stories are both developing. Now, it is Tulsa and Louisville. Suddenly, Tulsa has climbed right back into this game. It was a 15-point lead. They, of course, are playing out in Milwaukee. Vern Lundquist is calling the action for you, and we're going to be sending you to that game before we send you to Syracuse. Now, you can see Coach Denny Crum over there. He has just had a timeout, and he is huddled with his Louisville Cardinals. So far, it has been tremendous guard play that has brought the Hurricanes back into it. So now let's send you out to Vern Lundquist.
We want to welcome those of you who have been watching Illinois State and DePaul. I'm Vern Lundquist with Steve Grody from the Mecca in Milwaukee. Quite a finish here as Louisville has a 3-point lead with 1:50 to go in the game in their game against Tulsa. The Cardinals led by 13 at the half. They have led by as many as 15 through most of the second half. But Ricky Ross and Steve Harris have keyed a charge by the Tulsa team that has gotten them back to within 3. But now Steve Grody, the necessary fall right now. The final score, Ray Meyer's team defeats Illinois State 75-61.
Well, that Tulsa defense, which has really vaulted them into the elite teams of the country, has been a little dormant all game long. They've had a couple big steals down the stretch here. With that missed free throw, a chance to cut it to 1.
They can cut it to 1 with 96 seconds remaining in the game. Ricky Ross has 24 points, and he draws the foul. from Lancaster Gordon.
Well, you know, I would say that there's probably some contact in that situation, but I just don't think, given the amount of contact and the way this game's been played, that's enough contact to call a foul. I think it's a little bit out of the, you know, it's not the consistent call that we've gotten the whole game.
Ricky Ross will go to the line. Jeff Hall, number 42, comes in for a suddenly limping Manuel Forrest. Gordon has drawn his 4th foul. Boy, this has happened all of a sudden.
It came out of nowhere, and we mentioned, you know, a first half that saw a lot of action, teams running up and down the floor, a lot of confident play. I'd say the first 15 minutes of the second half, both teams very, very tentative, just waiting for Tulsa to explode. Just been one of the guys who's done it.
Ricky Ross now has 16 points in this half. His backcourt teammate Steve Harris has 15 points. They are the only 2 people other than Carlton McKinney who have scored in this half.
1-point ball game. You know, a little bit of different set now. You got it. They got all the guards in the ball game. You've got to get it in a guard's hand to break this pressure now.
Charles Jones.
Foul Jones. Foul him.
They got him. Charles Jones, the worst free throw shooter on the Cardinal team. David Moss, a freshman out of San Antonio, number 23. Nolan Richardson, the 4th-year head coach. Jacket is off now.
The last 5 possessions, they've had the ball in the hands of Jones twice, and he's been fouled 2 or 3 times in Billy Thompson's hands, and he's turned it over. 3 guards in the game, and they're just not making the play.
Jeff Hall out. Mark McSwain comes in. Charles Jones, a senior out of Scuba, Mississippi, has hit 3 of 5 this afternoon. 3 of 6. And a chance for the lead for the first time since they led 15-14 in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Louisville's played a 2-3 zone the last minute and a half, with the guards the only people seemingly confident enough to take a shot. Little cat and mouse. This is kind of interesting. Might be a good time for Tulsa timeout. Make a decision what you want to do. They look a little tentative right now. No timeouts left.
Ricky Ross, number 24, has 26 points in this game. Steve Harris, to whom he just threw the ball, has 20. They have scored 34 of the 36 points, 32 of the 34 points scored by Tulsa in this half. There has been no presence underneath for the Golden Hurricane of Tulsa.
Obviously, Louisville doesn't want to foul now. They did. Oh!
5 fouls on Lancaster Gordon.
Number 4.
The senior from Jackson, Mississippi. He fouls out with 17 points, only 3 in this half after a great start.
The situation has deteriorated rapidly, and it's questionable now if Louisville has got what it takes to stop the onslaught.
Substitution now for Louisville. James Jeter, a sophomore out of Radford, Kentucky. 6'2", 160-pounder comes into the game.
You've got an excellent free throw shooter on the line, a chance, a 2-shot attempt to put him in the lead for the first time in a long while.
Steve Harris is shooting 80% for the year. He's only 2 out of 4 from the line today. They call him Silk. They'd like for him to be smooth right now.
Oh, 80% free throw shooter on the year. I'll tell you what now, if he misses this, you got to get in position to get that short free throw.
They're tied. 34 seconds to go. They have fought back to the tie after trailing by as many as 15 in this half.
Boy, Jeter just in the ball game, handling the press.
Louisville ball. This Tulsa team, which has been hitting 53% for the year, hit only 26% in the first half. I said 15-14 was their last lead. It was actually at 14-13. Tied now with 27 seconds to go.
And Tulsa will keep the defensive pressure on. Try to come up with another steal and maybe the winning basket.
Jeff Hall, James Jeter. Vince Williams reaching. 15 seconds to go.
Well, time to look for the basket now.
Wagner.
Oh, No timeouts.
Milt Wagner.
Vern, what an ending to a second half for the most part, just void of action. Boy, you got to feel sorry for that man. And boy, do they have to feel lucky.
Neither team had any timeouts remaining. The ball almost got away from James Jeter, number 25, on the near side. He controlled it, and here's the junior guard, Milt Wagner.
I thought he got hacked as he jumped by the defense, but he did a great job. You know, he got the ball. Right before this, he looked up, saw there was a little too much time. Well, that's great concentration.
Watch Denny Crum in his 13th year.
I knew it. I just give it to my junior guard that's got me here. No foul.
Hey, he's as icy as Tom Lambert. No reaction at all. Well, what a win for Louisville, having led by as many as 15 points. They saw that lead evaporate, but it's heartbreak for Tulsa. Our final score is 69-67. The Cardinals win it. Kentucky is next. Now let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
All right, Vern, maybe no outward reaction, but that stomach had to be churning. What a comeback by Tulsa. Now, the Chevrolet most valuable players of the game: Charles Jones of Louisville for the winners, Ricky Ross of Tulsa. Quickly, Ross and Steve Harris, the two guards, scored 33 of Tulsa's 35 points in the second half. Now the other story still unfolding. Syracuse has finally pulled up on Virginia Commonwealth, 66-57. Inside of about 3 minutes to go, the last time I checked in that game over in the East region in the Meadowlands. Dick Stockton is calling that game, and we're going to join Dick now for the remainder of this Eastern Regional contest.
And for those of you who have been watching Louisville defeat Tulsa in the Mid-East Regional, we welcome you here to Meadowlands Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey. This is Dick Stockton with Bill Raftery, Syracuse University, trailing by as many as 9 points in the first half, taking the lead in the second, have slowly and inexorably moved ahead of Virginia Commonwealth, and now lead it by 10 points with 2:16 to play. Andre Hawkins will go to the line to shoot. One in the penalty. J.D. Barnett, who had his team up ahead, even in a fast pace, but Syracuse came back.
Had a good control of the game and that good man-to-man. Syracuse opened in his zone, switched to the man-to-man, got them going. Right now, a great foul shooting team. Syracuse, 75% for the year in a spread offense.
And Hawkins, the center, at a 74% shooter in his own right, has 12 points. The leading scorer, Raphael Addison, 22 for the Orangemen, and the amazing freshman Pearl Washington with 16 points. Syracuse University trying to move on to play Virginia in the Eastern Regional semifinals Thursday in Atlanta. Virginia upset Arkansas. And here comes Robert Dickerson back in the game. He is the shooter that VCU is going to need to come a long way back in this game. Syracuse with a 12-point lead. And VCU, Billy, has not scored in 4.5 minutes.
Well, right now, that zone has caused them to take deeper shots and not able to get second efforts.
Calvin Duncan misses. Kerins the rebound. And with 2:05 to go, the Orangemen seemingly in control of this second-round battle. He called a foul on Jones, and Addison will go to the line to shoot one in the penalty. It was a game in which we expected to see VCU control the tempo. They didn't have to early, did they?
Boy, they went up and down a little bit, but I think the pressing and the changing of the defense to man made that. But right now, the height is showing. J.D. upset with his club for giving the fouls, putting him on the line. He wants good pressure. Don't put them on the foul line is what he's saying to his kids. But the big thing was they, in reaching all ball game, unable to get the second efforts to tip one in or get the cheap goal.
With 24 points and 7 rebounds. Keep in mind, Syracuse came into the game averaging 80 points, one of the best offensive teams. They have 71. Virginia Commonwealth allowed only 55. So Syracuse has had the score their way. Gene Waldron using the clock.
That's why he's out there. Senior using his head.
And the foul will send Pearl Washington to the line 1-1. And now Syracuse going to the bench. Wendell Alexis comes into the ball game. George Papadakis, a freshman from Don Mills, Ontario in Canada, comes in. And Sean Cairns, Andre Hawkins leaving the game right now. We're going to see Addison and Washington depart shortly. Sean Cairns, a terrific ball game, 16 points. Andre Hawkins, 13, giving Syracuse strength inside.
Tough. Physically, they're tough. Good size overall, Syracuse.
J.D. Barnett, terrific coach at Virginia Commonwealth. Representing the Sun Belt Conference well. Well, with 6.5 minutes to go, the score was Syracuse 59-57. Orange men ran off 14 in a row before that basket by Mike Schlegel. Nicky Jones coming into the ball game or commits the foul. Want to remind you, coming up, Brent Musburger with highlights, scores, and coming up next in the West region, the second round battle between the SMU Mustangs and the Georgetown Hoyas coming right up.
With this score, they'll forget quickly how well VCU played. Had command early. Now the overall depth and strength up front of Syracuse, telling the story.
Jones on a runner. Alexis rebounds it to Pearl Washington with 1:16 to play, and Syracuse in control, 73-59. And they'll foul. They send Washington to the line. Bruce Allen, the freshman guard, commits the foul. And now we're going to have a timeout. Gene Waldron goes to the bench. Pearl Washington. This is the front end. 1:06 to go. Syracuse. Calvin Duncan.
Taking it right to Papadakis, the quick timeout, VCU. You think Leo Routens helped recruit Papadakis?
Papadakis, they have a Canadian connection there without question. They also have John Karpus from Toronto, so many Canadian players have performed for Syracuse. Leo Routens, of course, one, and of course, two others on the roster right now. The executive producer of NCAA basketball on CBS is Kevin O'Malley. We want to thank everyone that has had a role in today's broadcast, particularly producer Jim Silman and director Billy McCoy, our associate director Ernie Bauer, Michael Frank, our broadcast associate, the engineer in charge Joe Dornelis, and Marty Aronoff, our statistician. Thanks to all, and it has been a terrific round of games here at the Meadowlands. Friday night we had 2 one-point games, and Virginia in overtime over Arkansas, 53-51 in the opener, and VCU hung in there with Syracuse. Got a 9-point lead before the Orangemen put on the steam, and Syracuse will be heading for Atlanta and a date with Virginia in one of the semifinal games coming up Thursday. Coming up right after our game, Brent will fill you in on the scores, highlights, and the battle between Southern Methodist and Georgetown at Pullman, Washington in a West Region second round matchup.
All right, Jimmy, you got it won. You can relax.
Under a minute, Hawkins is fouled.
Tough foul there.
Stanley Davis fouls Andre Hawkins, sending him to the line.
Of course, the man that had the hardest job all day, I think, was Dick Schultz. He was in charge of the tournament, sitting and having to not show his emotion during that Virginia game. Committee did a great job here hosting us. Good, very good to us.
Free throw story, Syracuse 25 of 30. VCU 9 of 13. Syracuse obviously getting a lot more opportunities at the free throw line, forcing the fouls. J.D. Barnett has had remarkable success By the way, he's a former pitcher in the Pittsburgh Pirates minor league system.
Been through it, huh?
74-61. Syracuse by 13. Calvin Duncan firing away. Addison the rebound. Lead pass. Monroe. And they got to foul him. It'll be the 1-and-1 with 39 seconds to go.
J.D. Barnett's coaching like it's a tie ball game. That's why his players respond to him.
Andre Hawkins goes out of the ball game, replaced by Papadakis. And for Syracuse, freshman coming in, replacing Wayne Pearl Washington, who goes out of the game with 18 points. Addison also leaves the ball game as the high scorer with 24. There's the Pearl.
For him, just a normal afternoon.
Sonny Spera, junior from Enwell, New York, is in the game.
Howard Trich also a good shooter. Looks like John Karpus coming in also. Jimmy Boeheim giving everybody a shot in the NCAA.
Here's the other Canadian we were talking about, John Karpus, the 6'9" sophomore from Toronto. And Wendell Alexis goes out of the ball game. And so Syracuse University will roll on to Atlanta, Georgia, as we have now completed all the brackets in the Eastern Regional. Sonny Spera, he has Monroe, and it's stolen at the other end by Bruce Allen. Dickerson is fouled by Trich with 24 seconds to go. So the Syracuse will play Virginia in one of the matchups Thursday night in Atlanta in the East Regional, and the other one, of course, you will see on CBS Thursday night, 11:30 Eastern and Pacific, North Carolina against Indiana.
Brendan Malone doing a little coaching there. Raphael Addison spent a lot of time recruiting a lot of these players.
23 seconds remain. Karpus. Syracuse did a good job holding on to the ball in the second half. They had 10 turnovers in the first half, but only 2 now. And for J.D. Barnett, to be proud of his team, will finish the season at 22-7. And a terrific year, one of the Sun Belt dominant teams.
Well disciplined, good with the basketball, and if anything they lack, it might be size, but they know how to get the job done. Really extended Syracuse.
Well, VCU has an Alvin Robinson, a 6'9" freshman who had knee surgery and was redshirted, who you can count on for next year, plus all of starting 5 back. So he's got something to look forward to. 10 seconds to go now. Bruce Allen hits the shot. 5 seconds. Syracuse will win it 78-63. And the Orange Man, who came in averaging 80 points, scored 78 against the 4th best scoring defense in the country. So Jimmy Boeheim accepts congratulations from J.D. Barnett. The Syracuse Orangemen have defeated the Virginia Commonwealth Rams 78-63 and advance to the Eastern Regional semifinals, where they will play Virginia Thursday night in one of the semifinals. For Bill Raftery, Dick Stockton saying so long from East Rutherford, and right now let's send you back to New York and Brent Musburger.
Late in the second half, and our Chevrolet most valuable players for that contest for VCU, Calvin Duncan with 12 points. Raphael Addison from Syracuse, he scored 24 points. Now, let me reset the day for you. All of you are going to see the start of this game, SMU against Georgetown, that, of course, in the West region. Then those of you in Philadelphia and, of course, in the state of Illinois, including Chicago, who are vitally interested in this game, we'll bring you away from the Georgetown game so you can see the start of this contest. Also, those of you who are interested in Kansas against Wake Forest, you'll be coming away early from the Georgetown game, and we will send you to that contest in the Midwest region. Now, of course, earlier today, DePaul was a winner, and this is the first time in 4 tries that Ray Meyer has been able to finally win his first game in the NCAA tournament. He did it today, 75-61 over Illinois State. And after the game, Gary Bender spoke to Coach Ray Meyer.
Ray, very impressive. Oh, I think we played very well today. Our players wanted this first ball game because they've been reading we've always lost the first one, and they get tired of that. And I was so fearful of them that they might lose, but I don't think I was ever more confident of a basketball game than I was of this one.
Well, that's interesting. You said fearful but yet confident. Explain that a little more.
Well, I knew that the only way Illinois State could beat us is if they played an exceptional game and we played a poor one. If we both played a good game, we'd win. And I was only concerned about how our team played. And when I looked at them in the locker room before the game, they were ready to jump through the walls. So instead of a speech, I cracked jokes. I wanted to loosen them up for the ball game. I thought Kenny Patterson before the game, if we'd have bent over, he'd have broken. He didn't even want to go out and shoot in the warm-ups. He was so tight.
Next for Ray is the winner of the Kansas-Wake Forest game. Now, elsewhere, there were two other finals. Louisville at the buzzer. They beat Tulsa 69-67. In overtime, Virginia edges Arkansas, and the final score in that game was 53-51. Coming up now, the start of Georgetown SMU right after these messages from your local stations.
This is CBS.
Want to know my favorite sport? Driving.
For people who